Okay, so it's no secret that St. Augustine is beautiful. And of course, I'm a little biased. My whole brand and everything I do is about living here in St. Augustine. But living here doesn't go without any type of problems at all. And in today's video, what I'm going to do is cover 5 reasons that you should know about before you make the move if you are considering living here in St. Augustine. And make sure you stay around towards the 4th point of the video where I'm really going to be talking about some of the major problems that locals here are getting upset about. So what we're going to do in this video is talk about some of the main pain points of living here in St. Augustine. We're going to be talking about tourism. We're going to be talking about insurance and flood zones. We're also going to be talking about growth in the area and why that's actually one of the biggest pain points of living here locally. The first thing that we want to talk about is tourism. And now tourism is the lifeblood of St. Augustine. It's one of the main employers here in the area. It's going to be the hospitality industry. We have so many people that vacation here in our beautiful old city, and that is going to be where a lot of people's money and income comes from. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword for us locals here. So why is tourism necessarily a bad thing if we're living here in St. Augustine? I'm going to tell you why. If you want to come down to downtown St. Augustine on the off season, it's pretty much perfect for the locals because they don't have to worry about the influx of people here in our town, the traffic and congestion it brings with it, but also just the time element that it brings with it as well. If you want to go eat downtown at a restaurant that you love, well, if you're coming during peak summer or peak like end of the year holiday season, you're going to be waiting 45 minutes to an hour on top of trying to find parking, on top of walking to your destinations, and literally at some points being shoulder to shoulder with people as you walk through the small streets of St. Augustine, which makes it a complete hassle and a really big pain for us locals here. Now, like I said, a lot of locals make their money in downtown St. Augustine. They're working in the hospitality industry, so we need this, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But if you are living here locally, it does make it harder for you to enjoy the reason that you moved here, which is the downtown St. Augustine, the historic area, the entertainment, the food, everything that's packed into downtown St. Augustine becomes harder to enjoy because of the traffic, the congestion, and just the overcrowding of downtown during the peak tourism season. And of course, the locals and St. Augustine leadership are trying to figure out the best ways to go about it, but in reality, there's not a good way to fix it. There's a ton of people that have vacation time. They want to come down and enjoy our beautiful weather during the winter, and it gets packed. It's belly to belly in downtown St. Augustine, and the traffic can be gridlock traffic, which is something that our local little city here doesn't really see throughout most of the year. And that's one of our biggest problems about living here in St. Augustine. But if you are a local and if you are looking to move here or relocate within the St. Johns County area, there are plenty of areas where you are close enough to downtown, but you won't be affected by the tourism, the traffic congestion that downtown has during those peak holiday seasons. So in conclusion, the tourism does suck, but in all honesty, like every place has something that's kind of a negative. And in my opinion, I live a mile from downtown. As a local, and I've lived here for many, many years, I know how to get around it. It doesn't bother me at all. And if anything, if I can, I will completely avoid downtown during the month of December. Unless I have friends in town, they want to go downtown, they want to check it out. I get that part of it. But outside of that, I'm really not going downtown. I'm waiting until January to go downtown, enjoy Nights of Lights, and get my city back, let's say. And the second reason that you may not want to live in St. Augustine is going to be because of the insurance and the flood zones. So I'm sure that you guys have seen on the news that the insurance market within the state of Florida is going bananas. But what is insurance actually like here in northeastern Florida? And I think this is something that I really harp on, and why northeastern Florida, not just St. Augustine, but northeastern Florida is probably the best place to live in the entire state of Florida, is going to be because of our insurance and our flood zone risks that we have here compared to the rest of the state of Florida. So when we're talking about flood zones and insurance, we always think about hurricanes, right? Now, just to touch on this, hurricanes in our area are not as big of a deal as we were talking about in the Panhandle or in South Florida. In the past 124 years, St. Johns County has had 4 hurricanes make landfall within St. Johns County. Now, how we've been affected by other hurricanes? 100%. These bands can cross hundreds of miles from these hurricanes, crossing through the Panhandle, coming across Tampa, or coming in through South Florida. But once they hit land, they typically lose a pretty good amount of steam. It's really the dangerous part is when they're out in the water and they start growing and growing. They go from a category 3 to a 4 to a 5. That's when you get concerned. But here in northeastern Florida, we don't have the same issues as the rest of Florida. So that leads me into, okay, so how expensive is insurance here in northeastern Florida? Well, the majority of our inventory here in northeastern Florida is going to really be about 20 years old. A lot of our homes here about 25% of our market here in St. Augustine is new construction homes. So all of these homes are built with new engineering codes, the newest, highest standard of the Florida Building Code. And they're also going to be a lot cheaper when it comes down to insurance. If you're buying a new construction home in our market, your insurance is more than likely going to be somewhere between $100 and $150 a month. And you're probably thinking like, this guy is gaslighting me. This is not true. Just to give you anecdotal stories, I help a whole bunch of people relocate to our area, but I bought a new construction home for $300,000. It's a smaller home, only around 1,100 square feet, but it's a new build home. My insurance would have been $75 a month, but I have 2 pit bulls, so I had to put them on my policy just in case, for whatever reason, my insurance guy told me they're sweet babies. I don't know what the heck I need to put them on there for, but they are on there. Just in case, my insurance is now $110 a month. Not the worst thing in the world. If I wanted to get flood insurance, I don't need to because I'm not in flood zone X. My insurance would be roughly $450 a month. So most of the new construction here in the area is going to be in flood zone X, where you're not required to have flood insurance. So that shouldn't be a worry for most people. But it's probably going to be somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a year for your flood insurance, which is pretty reasonable, I'd say. Now, when you compare that to the rest of the state, they say that the median premium for the entire state of Florida is around $4,000, where in northeastern Florida, it's around $2,000 for the entire year. So we are much, much more affordable, and we're also at a lower risk for these major catastrophes that you could be worried about. Now, since we talked about insurance and hurricanes a little bit, we also need to talk about flood zones. I did touch on that. The main thing that you need to know is if you're in flood zone X, you are not required to have or carry flood insurance. If you buy home cash, you're not required to have any insurance at all. You can self-insure if you want to, but if you're in any area outside of flood zone X in the state of Florida and you're getting a mortgage, you're going to be required to have flood insurance. And flood insurance is going to depend on a variety of factors: the age of the home, the elevation of the home, and what flood zone it's in. And all these things are going to calculate a payment for you. So if you are looking to avoid that, there are tons of areas in St. Augustine and northeastern Florida where you're not going to have to pay flood insurance at all. If you're looking to live on the intercoastal, you want to have a beach home, you want to be on the island, these are all areas where you're probably going to need to have flood insurance regardless if you have the home paid off or not. And the third reason that you may not want to live in St. Augustine, especially in St. Johns County, is going to be the cost of living, but also the job market here. Now, the cost of living here in St. Johns County has skyrocketed since the pandemic. Median sale price went from like around $300,000 to now around $500,000, which is a huge jump in just 5 years. And like I said earlier in the video, most of the people that work in St. Johns County and in St. Augustine work in the hospitality industry. The next major employer is going to be the government. So you're thinking teachers, the sheriff's office, and the next major employer under that is going to be Northrop Grumman. And they make planes for the military. So they're probably making some good money over there. But outside of that, the main industry is going to be the hospitality industry, where we're talking about bartenders, servers, spas, all that kind of that workforce in that service industry. They don't make the most money in the world, probably making around $60,000 a year, which is not a ton of money when home sales are around median sale price of $500,000. So really, outside of those industries of like the hospitality industry, government, maybe financial service, real estate, buildings, that kind of stuff, there's really not that much of a workforce here or industry for people to work in. And a lot of people will commute to Jacksonville to order to get a higher paying job, but that's going to be a commute of at least 30 minutes to an hour, depending on where you are in St. Johns County and where you need to go in Jacksonville. And actually, something that's pretty reflective of that is that St. Johns County is one of the major areas where remote work is happening. Before 2020, I think they did a study in 2019, around 8% of our population that's in the workforce was a remote worker. Now, and I don't think you'd be able to guess it, now 25% of our workforce are remote workers. So that means that there is a whole bunch of money moving into our area, and they are taking up the majority of the housing and everything like that. But also, like, they're raising the bar of the cost of living here because they don't have the same restrictions in terms of income. They're working remote for a company probably from California or New York, and they're getting paid a lot more money than people typically do here. And I help a ton of people that relocate here with remote jobs, or they're retired, or they already own a business and they're letting it run and do its thing in another area. So they don't have the same restrictions of people that live and work here locally. So if I'm speaking to you directly that's either retired or you work remotely or you own a business somewhere else, then you're going to fit right in here perfectly because 25% of our market works remote. And guys, if you've gotten a little bit of value out of this video, my name's Thomas. I help people relocate to St. Augustine all the time. That's actually the majority of my business are people relocating here to our area. If you've gotten some value out of this video, hit that subscribe button below. And if you need any assistance looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida, just reach out to me directly. You a text, an email, whatever it is, but I do also have a Calendly link below in the description where you can schedule a 30-minute consultation with me just to go over your goals and put a strategy session together. No pressure, no sales pressure or obligation, just whatever works best for you. But if you're not ready to schedule an appointment just yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, just to let the algorithm know that you're digging my stuff. And the fourth reason that you may not want to move to St. Augustine and live here is going to be the traffic and congestion and the growth, the bottlenecks that happens with. Now, St. Johns County has grown tremendously in these past 5 years. We had a post-pandemic boom. A ton of people moved here because of all the issues with COVID, how their states were handling it, all that good stuff. And the state of Florida, for the most part, was open pretty much a month after everything closed. We were open maybe within a month or so. It was a pretty quick turnaround in terms of how our state handled COVID versus the rest of the country. So with that population boom, we also saw a boom in housing and traffic and congestion and just growth in general. And this is one of the main things that St. Augustine locals are very, very upset about. Things have just changed so quickly for them, overnight really, that it became, especially for a lot of locals, unaffordable for them to live here. So we do have a good bit of people who are moving out of St. Augustine because they just can't afford to live here anymore. They're moving to places like South Carolina and Tennessee where the cost of living is just much, much lower, and they can actually, their money is going to go a little bit further. But aside from people moving out, there's also problems with the infrastructure in certain areas, right? So if you're looking up in the northern part of the county, you want to be closer to Jacksonville just in case you have to commute for work. That whole area, which is based off of County Road 210, is very, very congested because all the new construction communities are pretty much off of County Road 210. We're talking about Nocatee, Silverleaf, Shearwater, Rivertown, Beach Walk. All of these major master plan communities are off of the hub of 210, and there's also other commercial development that's going off of there as well. So it's created a whole bunch of traffic and congestion and just in general, just problems because of all the people that have moved into that area and have created bottlenecks throughout the entire area. Along with that, a lot of the local residents here have seen their county and their city change so drastically that they're very upset with all these new developments going in. So every day you're seeing, or maybe not every day, but every other day or every week you're seeing a new development put forward. And maybe where you're from, it's normal to see like a 200 or 300 development, get approved and get pushed forward. Here, we have developments of 3,000, it's of 5,000. There's one community called Silverleaf where they have 18,000 residences that are going to go in there. So the growth is staggering what's happening here, and they're expecting it to continue. Right now, our population's around 320 or 30,000. They're expected by 2050 to go up to 650,000. So they're trying to prepare for the growth, but at the same time, they're battling the locals who are trying to shoot down every new development here. And that's something that I totally understand. I grew up here as a kid. I've seen it change pretty drastically, but I also want people to be able to afford to live here. And if we don't build, people are not, in general, the people that live here locally, but also anyone moving here is going to have a tougher time be able to afford a place if we stop building altogether. So it's a fine line. It's a double-edged sword. If we stop building, well, the prices of current homes will go up. If we keep building, well, then we lose our natural area and what people love about living here, and then it becomes overcrowded and no one likes that, right? So it's a fine balance of what we got to do. Double-edged sword, like I said. So the key to all of that is you got to have a good understanding of where these bottlenecks, where these developments are happening, and some of the issues that surround them. Just to give you a quick overview, if you're looking at 210, around County Road 210, which is in the northern part of St. Johns County, there's probably going to be a good bit of issues there for the years to come. They are working on a whole bunch of infrastructure projects that should alleviate some of these issues, but nevertheless, if you're moving here today, doesn't matter. It's going to be a problem for probably the next 3 to 5 years is my guess. Same thing at International Golf Parkway in 95. They just put a Costco, Buc-ee's, Super Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Home Depot. All of that has gone in there within the past couple years, and that exit is terrible. Really, when you're coming off 95 South, getting on an International Golf Parkway, that is a mess right now. Once again, they do have infrastructure projects that are coming, but as of right now, it's a mess. Aside from that, Further along down International Golf Parkway, you have Tocoi Creek High School. You also have Pacetti Bay Middle School, and then you also have an elementary school just around the corner from that. So think about school drop-off and pickup lines, and then add traffic for Costco and Buc-ee's, you have a mess. It's just what it is. Then, of course, you have downtown St. Augustine, Lions Bridge, King Street, US 1. Those are going to be kind of the main trafficked areas during peak tourism season. Outside of that, it's fine. And the fifth reason that you may not want to move to St. Augustine is you're looking for a little bit of nightlife and entertainment. You're looking for a Miami or a Disney or an Orlando or a Tampa. St. Augustine is not that, right? We are a small community, we're a historical community. People that go downtown are not looking for that type of nightlife with the clubs and the drinking and all that. Do we have a little bit of nightlife in terms of bars and restaurants and all that? 100%. But it's not to the same level of what you'll see in a lot of the metropolitan areas throughout the state. It's just 100% not there. And in fact, they're actually trying to put in a noise ordinance now so that bars and restaurants have to lower the noise, the sound decibels at an even earlier time that they had before. Personally, myself, I'm completely against it. I think as of right now, we have a good system. I think it should be even later personally, because like I said earlier, the main lifeblood of this town is going to be the tourism industry and the hospitality industry of people working downtown at the bars and restaurants. To limit them even more, especially when cost of living is going up, makes no good sense to me. And if people want to go downtown to go out to see a nice music venue, or they want to go out to go drinking, get a bite to eat, go have a couple of drinks, burn off some steam, we should let them do that. So to wrap all this up and put a bow on it, St. Augustine isn't perfect, but literally no place is. And since the pandemic, every place has grown pretty significantly in terms of cost of living and population, at least for the most part here in Florida and really the Southeast. So we're really no different than many other places. Every place has its pros and cons. I hope you found some of the pros and cons in this video of what you may or may not like about living in St. Augustine. If you are looking for more information, you can always schedule a 30-minute consultation with me using the Calendly link below, or you can take a look at all the other videos that I have out on my channel in terms of living here in St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Palm Coast, or even if you're looking for something even cheaper, Palatka is starting to boom a little bit. I have some content out there as well, which is going to be more of a rural area on the St. Johns River. Either way, guys, if you have any questions about any of that, reach out to me directly. I'd love to be able to help. Until next time.